When we have a war, we scare because the war kill a lot of people. But there's another thing that's more dangerous than war and kill more people than war. But we don't want to think about it, and nobody wants us to think about it too. That is food. Food is more dangerous than war because the food that we eat now cause so much problem in our life, kills so many people in the world, because the food that we eat now are not the food for human. We did not develop food for ourselves, but we develop food, we make food, we produce food for the highest profit. That's why food is not good for our health. We did not promote our health, we promote profit. That's the main problem right now. If we look at our food that we eat now, we can see that most of our food were raised or grow in a small area, but big amount of them. We want to produce a lot with very low price. To do like that, we need to use a lot of hormone, use a lot of antiseptic. Because when we use hormone to force our food to be produced fast, mainly they will be very weak and less nutrition. When they're weak, they get sick, and we just add more antibiotic in the food that we eat. And then we need to use more chemical. A lot of chemical that used to be chemical weapon in the past. But we afraid of that chemical because it's too dangerous. So every country in the world agree to ban using chemical weapon. But now most of chemical weapon that we used to have, we turn it into chemical in farming, in our food. So what we afraid of it the most in the past is in our food now. We eat a lot. Pesticide, herbicides, fungicides, a lot of things that we add it in. After we can produce them, we process our food in the very complicated way. We did not just eat natural food that we grow them and cook them, eat them. We don't do that anymore. We need to process them, change them into many forms, because we design our life to make our life so complicated, so busy all the time. We don't have time to cook. We don't have time to think about food because we think we are so busy. Busy for what? Busy to make money, to get money to buy food. And then when our life were designed to be like this, we have to eat processed food. Processed food is not normal for human, because the processed food that we have now is too complicated to process them. Normal food, if we process them in the simple way, is no problem. But if we process them in the simple way, we cannot save it long. We cannot keep it long time. We cannot put on the shelf for a few weeks. For example, like bread. If we buy bread from the market, most of the bread can last more than a week. But if we make our own bread, it will last only a few days. It will get mold. Why is that? Because the food that we buy from the market, the bread that we buy from the market is from factory. It's very complicated processed food. They add so many things, it's not food in there, especially preservative, artificial smell, artificial taste, artificial color. Most of the food will contain all of these things. This thing is not food, but we have to add it in to make the bad food look good. and smell good and taste good. There are many things that we need to use to make our processed food last long and convenient for us. So to get convenient life, we need to exchange with our health a lot. Many food, they try to make profit, like they grow corn. They make corn very cheap. How to make corn produce more profit for us? The way that they did is change corn into many forms until it turned to high fructose corn syrup. Very complicated processing system to get high fructose corn syrup. So high fructose corn syrup is a product from corn, but there's no nutrition like corn. There's only energy. They give only energy to us. There's no other nutrition. And then high fructose corn syrup, it will be very addictive because it's a kind of sweetness that you cannot find in the nature. It's man-made sweetness that we intend to make it very addictive. So most of the food that we eat now contain with high fructose corn syrup. And then when we eat it, we don't want to stop. We just keep eating and eating and eating. We eat a lot, but not a lot of nutrition that we need. So most of our processed food now have a lot of things that is not good for us. They don't want us to know. That's why they use the language that we don't understand. If you look at the label of the food that we eat from the market, the processed food, if you look at the label, there are many words that you don't know. It's not the language that normal people can understand it. For example, monodactyl, mononitrate, sodium benzoate, or aqua, or xanthan gum, or many scientific words. This means it's not natural ingredient that we add in the food. So we eat a lot of them all the time. That's why we have so much sickness in our life now. We have heart disease, we have diabetes, we have cancer, we have depressed, we have dementia, we have mental problem, we have kidney problem. So many sickness with no germ. It's attack us a lot. All of this sickness come from what we eat. Just imagine when we have a war. How many people die from the war? Maybe 100 people, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. That's mainly is about that. But that's only one war, and the war did not happen often. But the people who die from this food, who die from heart disease, who die from cancer, or who suffer from depression, dementia, obesity, people die from this thing, many million people per year. That's a lot. This is the most dangerous thing that we need to think about it now. I think we need to change the way of our thinking. We need to design our new way of life. We need to create a new system of food that we can have a good food for ourselves. I think this is something possible if we do it, if we design our life. Our life now is too complicated, too busy, too much work, but nothing good for us. How can we erase our thinking in that way and then start to think in a new way and come back to think how can we grow our food? If we don't like to grow food, how can we connect with people who grow food and create a new food market for us, new food system for us? I think it's possible to do that. It's not too hard. We should not surrender to this system. We need to do something.